really sliding into what they wanted to do.
Yeah, a little bit too slow, I think, honestly. And let's be honest, Jinx has not exactly been standard recently. But looks like slow might be the name of the game. Is FPX going to lock themselves Senna in? Wouldn't be surprised to see Tahm Kench locked alongside that, because, I mean, we just saw Ming playing Tahm Kench alongside a Jinx. You know RNG would be happy to steal the Tahm Kench away.
So the thing is, though, if you take the TK here, which they have, you now have the option to take your AD carry and actually take a mid laner here for Xiaohu. So you go towards something like they say the Galio or something along these lines for Xiaohu in the mid lane. Or take the Ahri away, which, oh sorry, I was actually banned, my bad. But something along those lines anyway in the mid lane. And then you're kind of putting Kayle in an awkward spot where he doesn't want to kind of be left on his own. Clid could end up having his jungles banned away, but we see neither of them. So I imagine we will just see Clid taking the Lee Sin here, and then everyone on FPX should be pretty happy.
Or we could just see a blind top lane Kayle, since you've got a couple of bans to work with here. Perhaps FPX just going to set up for xiaolaohu to have a comfortable laning phase again. It worked in game number 1. Granted, the Kayle was a counter pick in game number 1. We'll see if blind picking it can work out when you've got those bans.
Yeah, I'm really surprised to see this kind of just taken blind here, because even we've started to see like counter picks coming out a little bit, like Rare Adam brought out the Nasus there the other day. Like we know that there are picks that can do relatively well into it, so that's why we're getting the Vladimir and the Jax at least banned away from the get-go. But RNG responding with those jungle bans, because as we talked about, Clid is kind of been left out to dry here as a result of this. But maybe we'd just be happy to go back towards something like the Xin Zhao unless that's banned away here, or maybe a Jarvan to provide that engage tool, because right now FPX are severely lacking any sort of big engage champion.
But the Vi is going to be banned. I feel like we've seen a lot more Vi bans than we have seen picks, right? But it has always been when there's an Ezreal, right? Whenever there's an Ezreal, it's the team with the Ezreal that bans the Vi. It seems to be the go-to in general in the LPL right now. That Galio you talked about before could be locked in for care rather than Xiao.
Yeah, and I'm kind of surprised to see it. Like, I thought they'd leave the counter pick here for the mid lane, but obviously just going, hey, look, we want to try and just make sure that we can play around this top side and not really worry about like anything else that's there. I mean, you're still kind of lacking some sort of engage though, so I feel like Clid is more than likely going to go back towards something like the Jarvan. Breed though, taking the Fiora, trying to play aggressive into this matchup, which I think is the right call, and then maybe take something like the TF if you wanted to for Xiaohu, or maybe even something like the Rise, so you can try and play towards sides, but not going to do it. Instead, going to opt in towards the Lissandra again.
And up towards the jungle now, we need to see something that can actually start a fight for the side of FPX here. The Wukong and the Viego have been the only picks we've seen from Clid so far. The split, aside from game number 1, it's a kindred. Certainly not engaged, but I guess if you just play counter engage, that could certainly work too. Plenty of scaling.
Yeah, see, the thing is, I'd agree with that if they had, like, more long-range champions on the team, right? But, like, Kayle isn't exactly super long-range. Kindred isn't either. Galio definitely not. Like, Lwx can have some. When you're looking at, like, the poke from both Ezreal and Karma, that's going to be able to do so much more in these fights than FPX are going to be able to dish out. So, I'm a little bit worried about them. It does mean that you're heavily reliant on Kayle, like, finding smart angles to come in at to try and find these big engage tools, especially if RNG are able to shut down this Kayle in the early stage, but then you just don't really have a side lane to play around it.
Yeah, I feel like this Tahm Kench is going to be a battle Kench. I think that's what's going on here. I think their intention is that Tahm Kench is the one to just W in, Galio on top, etc., etc. The issue is, if you miss the W, well, that's everything. That's all you had. And then RNG could do whatever they want. So on the other side then, what's the game plan for RNG? How do they make things happen? How do they redeem themselves from game 1?
Yeah, I think the big one is going to be a case of like trying to push in mid, use Xiaohu then to start roaming around the map, try and play up towards this Fiora, because bot side is going to be totally fine. Like, Senna Tahm Kench is not really going to be able to do too much against the Karma and Ezreal, so leave that to its own devices and actually start to get this big Fiora ahead, because I think if you can actually try and play side lanes here where the Kayle just isn't strong enough to deal with the Fiora, I think you're going to be in a relatively okay spot, and even just the ability to use that top lane pressure to play for things like the Rift Child is going to set up RNG really nicely.
We'll have to see as we head to Summoner's Rift for our 4th game of the day. And if FPX have their way, it'll be our final game of the day. But MSI champions RNG are gonna look to push us to 3 games. I'm gonna say MSI champions so many times today. You guys think that we're done. You guys think that this was just an intro thing. I don't know if you know this, Dagda. RNG are the MSI champions. Not only, they're back-to-back MSI champions and 3-time MSI champions. Did anyone know that? Has anyone said that before?
True. The transitive properties, though, of the unofficial MSI champion. FPX are currently the MSI champions, though, because they just beat RNG.
Well, no, they won a best of 1. And here in the LPL, we don't believe in best of 1.
But that's
this
the
is
thing,
a best
right?
Of 3 region.
RNG have to now beat them either way. Like, I'm still right? Because RNG have to beat them twice, which means they already claimed the title, but FPX currently have the title.
No.
Yeah.
That's not how that works. They have to win the series. I disagree, Dagda. I respectfully disagree with your opinion. But you know what? That's okay. That's called civil discourse. You know, something that Twitter's never heard of. Just want to quickly mention, Care going with the Predator in that mid lane has started boots as well, so you can anticipate, you know, pre-6 plays from the Galio, which is always quite exciting.
Yeah, I think it just works out super well. Just having the opportunity, if ever needs be, to go for some of these aggressive plays where you can't just Predator straight at Xiaohu. Now, Xiaohu should be relatively okay once he has access to that claw to escape away from that. And just because you can create so much distance with the Ice Claw, but or the Frozen Path, that's the word I'm looking for. But you'll have to see. I think, honestly, the biggest issue for FPX right now is like how Clid actually tries to have the early game that he wants and trying to get these stacks going, because I'm looking at Breed controlling top side, Xiaohu has pushed Ming, Gala and Ming completely decimating bot lane.
Oh my god, Lwx in trouble. Ignite popped onto Hung there. Bit of a misclick from Ming, trying to find the kill to Lwx, but just going to be a bit of a wasted summoner. So actually a positive summoner trade in favor of FPX. Not ideal for RNG.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit unfortunate, but it doesn't matter too much. I still think RNG going to be able to get a ton of pressure down in this bot lane, and realistically, you're never actually going to be able to kill Lwx or Hung unless they make a very big mistake. So the Ignite is kind of just there as threat to try and push Lwx out of lane rather than actually kill him. It is just unfortunate went on to Hung, but Hung having the TP as well, even if he does get bullied out of this lane, should be able to get back down there to pick up a good amount of the CS.
And remember, we've got a kindred in this game, so we're going to have to keep our eyes on those kindred stacks. I believe Wei currently having the mark on his head. The kindred stack going to spawn on the bottom scuttle crab here. So Clid up on the top side right now. Potentially, we'll have to move down towards that bottom side of the map, but doesn't have priority in any lane. So I don't know if he'll really get a window to go down.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, Wei knows this, right? So he doesn't, like, panic and try and move down towards the bottom side super quickly. Actually, we'll run into Clid here, but they've all just got to back away. And again, you can just piece your way through mid here as Wei, even make a quick transitional gank if Clid isn't careful, and now you get that bot lane scuttle regardless.
It even helps Xiaohu push this wave mid as well. Very nice. Good guy, Wei, as he moves down and will deny this stack onto the scuttle crab. So tough one for Clid to start things off. See how it's going to go. I'm just curious about this kindred pick, how Clid's going to do on this kind of pick, because this is a pick, like, you know, we've been talking about the coordination for FPX. If there's a pick in competitive that you need to be coordinated for, it's kindred. Like, your whole team has to work with you to get you these stacks.
Yeah, and that's the problem, is that I don't see a way for FPX to work with them, right? Because at least in the early stages, Care very far behind on CS. Bot lane is struggling as well. Xiaolaohu isn't having the best of times on top either. So Clid's going to see if he can now punish RNG with the fact that they pushed in, but Wei is on his way.
Wei is on the Krugs right now. Lwx goes slightly wide on the binding. Can they find an opportunity? Ming and Gala trying to escape. As the mark going to come down. They're looking for Ming. He's spotted his target here, but Ming just flashes away. And well, that's going to be that one, isn't it? As Gala gets himself first blood. And it's a bit of a disaster for FPX to start us off.
Yeah, that's just an over push there from Clid, trying to see if he can make something happen, because his camps had only just come up off a respawn, but not knowing that Wei had already reset, made his way back down to the bottom side. I think just a misjudgment from Clid there as to where RNG's jungler was going to be.
I think the thing is, I'm pretty sure he knew Wei, because they dropped a couple of question mark things on the Krugs. Like, That's kind of the only place Wei could have been on the map currently,
See,
unless he was ganking somewhere else.
I didn't want to bash him, but yes. Like, especially with the fact that you'd like ran into Wei on the top side of the map, and Clid knew that the bottom scuttle was down. You knew what the path theme was. So yeah, just a big misstep from Clid there, not respecting the fact that Wei was on the bottom side.
Clid gonna go down on that one. Bit unfortunate for him, a bit unfortunate for the FPX bottom lane as well, because now you're up against an Ezreal with an early kill. And we talked earlier about how important it can be getting an early kill on Ezreal. Like, once you can get that reset off, which we'll see Gala doing now, should be able to pick up like a Sheen or something. He actually started with the tier, often kind of greedy, but against a Senna Tahm Kench, you can easily get away with that. Means now he can pick up some AD, he can pick up a Sheen, and you don't have that dramatically terrible early game that it feels like you have if you have to get your tier as your second.
And the thing is as well, that poke becomes even more obnoxious on the bottom side as well, right? So just overall just feeds so well into how RNG want to try and play out in this bottom side. And again, like RNG just off of lane states, 1,500 gold lead for themselves. Xiaohu controlling mid, bot going well, Xiaolaohu having control of, Xiaolaohu falling behind to breathe in top side. And now you start to pick up the pace with things like the objectives, right? You can see Wei coming back in off reset. I wouldn't be surprised with Xiaohu as he gets into mid and pushes it again. You look towards Dragon. You've then got another minute until you look towards Rift Tower as well. And with Gala Ming having push, and you don't even have to send Gala in this up towards Rift Tower. You can just send Ming, because realistically Hung needs to be the one that stays bot side, and that just sets up nicely for you to try and take Rift Tower's energy.
And let's just take a second and remember what happened in the finals against T1. We saw 2 clips in our segment earlier that showed that RNG won 4v5s against T1 while Gala was staying bot. That was all for First Herald. That is like the bread and butter for RNG. Send Ming up towards the top side, play 4v5 for the Herald, let Gala just get players.
And I like that RNG are going for the for the Dragon now, because it stops the cross map from FPX. Oftentimes when you see teams go for the Rift Herald, you'll get the team that's behind on the play, take a Dragon and go, well, at least we get something for our troubles, right? That's not the case here, because we have Wei solo pushing on, or solo taking the Dragon. He now rotates up towards the Rift Herald. You've got that push we're talking about in the mid lane. Ming can kind of roam up whenever he wants after get this played on the bottom side. This is all RNG just dictating the pace of this early stage.
Yeah, and crucially, it's a very quiet early game, which is what RNG wants, right? They are playing to control, but maybe not control enough. The Xiaohu flashes forward to try and make the play here. It's going to be knock up across the team. Wei low on HP, as is Clid. The kindred ult is going to save Clid, though, and it's Wei to go down. Xiaohu now trying to escape, but this Galio from Care should be able to keep the CC rolling. As I say that, the rest of the team doesn't seem that bothered about trying to kill Xiaohu.
I mean, they're just happy to get the Rift Herald. Clid, great flash away, and great response to keep himself alive when Wei went for the ultimate. Breathe, though, now moving in. Xiaohu trying to see if he can wrap around, but 0 mana for Xiaohu.
Wei still a long way off on this one. No smite available for Clid. This is stealable, but Breathe isn't going to go for it. Xiaolaohu getting the last hit on that one. Clid clears the vision and will be able to get his reset off in the end. Still, I don't think finding any stacks just yet, although he might have got a stack off of Wei there.
I think he might have as well, and at least regardless of stacks, just nice coordination from FPX to put up a response, right? We already kind of highlighted, Dragon into Rift Tower was very much what RNG were looking for, but Care and Clid just stack up in the bush, make sure that they're able to catch out Wei and Xiaohu. And watch here, as Wei goes in with the ultimate, you just barely in time get the ult coming out from Clid so he doesn't fall, and with the flash away, there's no way to follow up as Clid is able to get the heal, get out of Dodge's way, and make sure he's going to be good and dandy.
Very nicely done. It is still a big lead for FPX, for RNG currently. There's about 1,500 gold lead in their favor. FPX do have to get some stuff done. They have to work something out. They do have a lot of scaling, like we'll say, but so does RNG, honestly, with an Ezreal in there, with a Fiora. It's not going to get any easier later on into the game, but you can see RNG pushing their vision line deeper as they move into the jungle. Ming and Wei getting so much vision. Clid cannot move without the second he sneezes, they're going to know what's going on.
Yeah, the ward that went over the wall there into bot lane, though, was spotted by Hung, so that's why you can see Clid back away, and Wei is actually going to make his way out of here. Jesus Christ, that was a sentence. As Gala is going to just try and get another turret play for himself in bot lane.
Yeah, certainly is. You know, we're on game number 4. This is where things tend to get a little bit wacky, so bear that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, as Care getting aggressed upon by Xiaohu. Wei trying to close the gap as well, but Care actually going to turn around and taunt Xiaohu. Wasn't sure if that would even give him a distance or not, but it does. Just Care then dodging away from the Maw as well. Nicely done there. And xiaolaohu, once again, just chilling in this top side. Breathe having the counter pick this time around, but doesn't seem to be making a big difference.
I mean, it didn't at the beginning, but just with the plays that have happened around this top side, Breathe has had to back away, not give as much, hasn't been able to put as much attention into focusing down Xiaolahu, and now, as you say, getting up towards, you know, level 9, level 11, just around the corner. It's AD build for Xiaolahu once more, but Breathe feeling it.
Oh, xiaolaohu has to use his ulti quite early on, flashes away as well. And that's the power of the caster curse right there, just as I say it's going great. Xiaolaohu forced his ult and his flash away. As Gala trying to predict the Q there. Goes slightly wide, and Xiaohu being forced away in the mid lane as well. Feels like RNG really want to muscle their way in for the second Drake that's coming up in a minute.
Yeah, trying to deny FPX access to River and get vision control down, because as you already talked about, the vision control is set up nicely for RNG in this bot side jungle of FPX, but if FPX are able to get their vision in towards River, it becomes a lot easier for them to set up some sort of defensive play around the dragon. I don't think it's going to be the case at the moment, though, just with the way everything is set up. Gala and Ming having so much push in the spot side, it looks like FPX are just going to give up Dragon and try to make a play into Breathe in the top side instead.
Yeah, xiaolaohu just continuously pushing these waves in. Clid has that Herald in his pocket, remember, so Breathe needs to get out of here. You don't get to stick around for this one. The tower will very likely go down. Another auto or two will do the trick, but Wei wants to make a counterplay. There's no ult available for xiaolaohu, but it doesn't matter. They have so much invincibility on this team with the Dawning Shadow as well. They've turned it around. xiaolaohu survives. Oh, no, he doesn't. Breathe, finding a window. It's 1-for-1.
Breathe actually end up messing up the riposte there, so it doesn't get the double stun as Care comes in with the ultimate. So RNG not able to get as much as they would have liked in that turnaround play. Ming and Gala still push on bot though, still going to get River control. That neutral objective is still been available, but again, it's FPX finding these early plays to get themselves back into the game.
Hung having to use his dive just to get out to safety again. And the Scuttle Crab denied once more, which means these kindred stacks remain on the Scuttle Crab. It's been a tough one to play in that regard. Taking a look at the play.
Yeah, watch the riposte here, right? It's too early, so it doesn't actually get the stun onto Care, so you can't get the damage onto a Xiaolahu in the backline. Both of them of the RNG members end up taunted, so might have been a very different look if they'd managed to get that kill onto Xiaolahu. Then you get the reset for Wei, and suddenly that fight can look a little bit more wonky for FPX, but just not going to be the case there. FPX now 2-2 and kind of bringing back the gold lead to just a 2,000 gold lead when it started to balloon a little bit more in favor of RNG.
Yeah, it's feeling good for FPX, especially with xiaolaohu getting a bit off that gold. Clid getting an injection of gold off of that top lane play as well. Kraken Slayers for both of them at this stage. RNG will be able to get that second Drake that we talked about. When trying to walk away with it, as Clid wants to aggress on this one. Care with the Predator boots can close the gap, but nicely done there by Xiaohu, who just drops a Glacial Tomb, keeps his jungler safe.
And again now, because we're kind of going back to neutral states in lanes, it gives RNG the opportunity to continue to bully at least through bot side, right? They want to try and answer for the turret that was taken in the top lane, but they just haven't quite been able to get the controls that they want to on this bottom side to actually look for that play because Clid has been spending so much time down here.
Well, we've got 4.5 minutes until the next Drake. 20 seconds until this next Herald. You can see Wei already moving over in that direction. Ping's coming out on that objective as well. As Gala's moved to this mid lane, look where Lwx and Hung are on the map right now. I don't think there's any world where FPX can test.
Yeah, Gala having that TP for himself means that he's able to get in towards the mid lane a hell of a lot faster. So that will set up RNG at least to take that. And it does mean they should be able to just pop it straight in towards the mid lane to take that tier 1. You got xiaolaohu as well, who is going to be careful, has to be careful, sorry, on this top side, because Breathe is there with Wei in tow. Ming as well, even moving up there. Like, there's a lot of RNG members on this top side.
Certainly are. Wei will finish the Herald for himself. In the meantime, take a look at Breed, just hammering away on this tower, denying as many CS as he can in the meantime. As he'll just let the minions finish that one off and can just push that next wave. Nice little advantage for Breed there. Hit level 11. He's very strong in the side lane. I'm not sure anyone can match him 1-for-1.
At the moment, he's going to be pretty good, especially if he can create these like long side lanes where he can chase Xiaolaohu down, because Xiaolaohu has damage, but just not enough to deal with the survivability and the sustain, sorry, that can come through from Breed on this Fiora. So FPX trying to ramp up in this mid lane to stop Gala and Ming getting this tier 1 without the help of that Rift Herald.
Care and Clid trying to find a play onto Gala and Ming here as Care comes in from behind. Predator boots pop, looking for the taunt onto 2. Flashes forward, gets onto Gala. Everfrost is there, Dawning Shadow. Everything landing beautifully. And that's 2 kills for Clid. The rough early game is being smoothed out by some smart plays.
And Xiaohu on the bottom side wasn't able to get hung as well, was able to flash and W away from the Lissandra. So RNG thwarted across the board, and FPX now might be able to amend some sort of offense in towards at least the top side jungle of RNG. A stack for Clid is going to be well looked forward to, because it's only his second stack of the game.
That's his third, I think it takes a second to appear.
It popped from 1 to 2. That's why I was...
Oh, okay. Yeah. My bad. As we get a replay on the bottom side, it was hung just about escaping in the 2v1. That mid tower just about surviving. Stiff Breeze will knock that one over. But a good game so far from, or good mid game, sorry, so far from FPX, is they're actually managing to find some opportunities.
And that's exactly what I wanted to see, right? Like the fact you've got Xiaolaohu and Care with the Galio and the Kayle means that you're going to be able to try and play this out through side lanes. So finding these opportunities where you can pick members of RNG off with Care like this is going to be super good. And you can see there, just following the flash on towards the Ezreal, the Everfrost to keep him locked up in place, the Dawning Shadow over the top. There was just so much damage that came through so quickly. Now though, with a minute and a half again until this next dragon, RNG trying to play towards their own strengths of the composition, setting up for team fights as this 4-man unit while Breed pushes inside. It's about establishing vision control now for that next dragon.
And I love that once again we're seeing Care being an instrumental piece when it comes to setting these plays up for FPX. Like, it's so good to watch Care with this team. He feels like it feels like maybe Care was the thing that FPX was missing, honestly, because he's this facilitating mid laner, very mechanically gifted, but constantly in the right place, constantly setting these plays up.
Yeah, he has been such a nice addition to FPX, especially as he coming into place Gory, who unfortunately just wasn't able to kind of match up in lane. Care, even when he first arrived in the LPL back in spring, wasn't having the best of time in lane, but now his laning has gotten stronger. His understanding of what he needs to do on the map is so much better. Like, Care has really become an integral part of FPX, and we're gonna have to see again if he can do it, because the engages rely on Care. Not having flash available means it's going to be a tough one for him to get in, especially with the amount of vision control FPX have set up. And if Gala and Ming can just play at range, continue to get the poke down, that's where RNG can do well.
FPX looking for a route there, but won't find it as Breed tries to clear some of the vision on the top side of the play. FPX just want a fight. They want Gala right here. His ear's on cooldown. He's knocked up. He's CC for the rest of the team. Aggressed upon by Breed here. Kindred will keeping everyone safe. Lwx flashes over the wall. He's chased down Breed. Takes the kill. Damage across onto Clid, but they chase down Breed. They find one. Care goes down as well. RNG looking good in this one, but it's a damn close skirmish. 2 kills go the way of xiaolaohu. Oh my days, this is impossible to cast. It's a 3 for 2 in favor of RNG.
Nicely done by Breed in that fight. The fact that he went directly in onto the core members of FPX with the Fiora ult on top meant that he was healing enough that he actually forced the ult out from Clid, but a ton of time for Gala and Ming to deal with Care, and that allowed RNG to continue out the fight. Third dragon now for them, and we'll see it in the replay here, right? Gala, again, brilliant from Care. Spots that Gala has no arcane shift, but Breed alongside Xiaohu goes directly onto Lwx. Clid preemptively pops the ultimate because he's worried about Lwx going down, but Breed still just about able to get in onto the back line. And with Lwx dead, Care taken out, there's just no real support options for Clid in these fights.
damn close fight as well as xiaolaohu actually getting the kill on way before his ult finished off there. So xiaolaohu getting 2 kills in the fight. Definitely important for FPX. Gold lead, only 3,000 in favor of RNG, but they have 3 Drakes on the board now. They have that soul point, and it's going to put a timer on FPX's game, a 4-minute and 9-second timer, to be specific. Now, as we do have a moment here, Dagda, I want to quickly bring something up that you mentioned earlier. We were talking about unofficial MSI champions. Well, Ashin has very kindly messaged me and let me know that RNG are actually currently the unofficial world champions as well, as it was passed over to them from T1 in the MSI finals, which means that FPX are actually fighting for the unofficial title, as xiaolaohu fighting for the unofficial I survived the dive medal. In fact, he gets the official kill under the tower medal, but does lose the tower at the end.
I mean, a 1-for-1 trade in that scenario, not a bad way to go, as RNG now trying to see if they can get onto Lwx, but you can see Breathe is starting to become an issue, and I mean, Kayle didn't have the ultimate up and available to try and help out in that bot lane play, so RNG finding that nice window to actually fight back, and this seems to be the story of how RNG are kind of slowly getting control and wresting control of this game from FPX. It's like using their tempo advantage where they can to set up early on objectives. Look for picks just before key abilities are up on FPX. It's just these tiny little things that are giving RNG these advantages.
FPX now, oh my god, are they actually going to do it? Oh, in true FPX fashion. No, okay.
No,
okay.
they've learned.
They're back away.
This is a new FPX.
They've evolved.
They've been reborn.
I don't know. I just see all 4 of them grouping up like that. There were some pings, but yeah, no. They decide against that, and rightly so. RNG knew what was going on as well. Drop a Scryer's Bloom onto Scry and Orb, sorry, onto that one, making sure nothing's going down. I do just want to quickly mention the fact that Gala now on 3 items. Big spike for the Ezreal. You got Breathe spiking pretty hard on 2.5 as well. It does feel like RNG's comp is really coming into its own, and it's going to be quite difficult for FPX to win these next couple fights, because yes, you've got a Kayle, not yet level 16, only on 2 items. Senna a long way off doing as much damage as she needs to.
And there's just so much vision for RNG as well, right? Like, we talk about how you need, like, care to find these big engages, which he nearly got in the last fight, but it just is so much more difficult when you've got vision control galore in FPX's bot side. You even start to see RNG creep that vision control in towards the top side of the map as well. If you're looking at this dragon in a minute and a half's time, like, you need to be able to clear all that vision behind you, FPX, and then establish yourself in river so you can have care come in on these cool angles. Otherwise, RNG just kind of get to poke you down with Gala, Ming, and even as you see, like, they're so good at backing away and buying time in these fights thanks to Xiaohu.
Certainly are. Xiaohu doing a lot of work. I mean, Xiaohu and Care essentially have the same job in this game, right? Xiaohu is not really the guy that's trying to dive in too much. He's more trying to set up for the rest of his team, either by finding a pick, if the situation does occur, but also, like you say, peeling for the rest of his team. Make sure Gala is going to be safe in these fights. Does FPX continue to try and control this top side? Lwx at least. Oh, in fact, it might be Clid that gets the red buff. I guess he is a kindred.
Yeah, and I think as well, Clid especially going to be doing a lot more damage than Lwx at the moment. I mean, the amount of... Sorry, you've only got like a lethality item and a half completed for Lwx, whereas when you look at Clid, 2 items fully completed. But still, the big problem with the kindred is such short range, and as you can see, this poke is going to stick.
Bit of a knock-up coming out from Care here. Big damage onto Xiaohu, actually. As TP starts to come on through, xiaolaohu trying to get over there. Xiaohu low on HP. There's a good amount of sustain on this FPX roster. Remember, 20 seconds until that Drake comes up. Now, RNG the ones in control right now. And if they get this Drake, that's soul. I don't know if FPX can come back from that kind of deficit.
And that's why RNG are playing so far forward, trying to land this poke before they get in. Gala's making a stick.
Flash forward from Care, but he gets no one. Has to E back out of the fight. And now Xiaohu goes in. Keeps himself safe with his ulti. Can't find the pick for himself. Gala trying to just get as much damage dished out as he possibly can. His True Shot Barrage almost halfway cooled down. And remember, that just did like half of everyone's health on the side of FPX a second to go. But again, they have so much sustain here from Lwx that actually FPX can stick around.
Yeah, Care even TP back in as well, and now looking for the flank. RNG might get caught out.
Care has his ultimate available if the rest of the team does get engaged on. He's on a blast cone right now. Dragon on 3k, neither team confident to just try and brute force this one. Way going to be rooted. That's straight for FPX and maybe a fight as well. Dawning Shadow sets up for Gala's demise and Ming forced to flee.
And the instant pings onto the Baron as well. FPX played the fight slow, they played it proper, and with the sustain from Lwx coming through, they may have netted themselves the Baron.
I can't believe they're actually going to pull this one off, Dagda, because that felt like it was going to be solved for RNG. RNG had complete control of the bot side jungle for FPX, but it didn't seem to matter. And now FPX move on to this Baron, and RNG, they've got to make a desperation play here. Xiaohu moving in from the bottom side, Way getting the stun onto Care for the Baron, down to 3,000. FPX are just going to burst this one. They're just going to get... No, they're gone! Way manages to find the steal. I cannot believe that's just happened. And now RNG, they're chasing FPX through the river. They won't let them escape. They won't let them recall. True Shot Barrage onto Lwx. Chunks him out. Everyone half HP. Gala chasing forwards. The Qs flying in. Everybody has to dodge. They have to be so careful as RNG moving in Clid on the bottom side of the fight, trying to threaten. Xiaolaohu, 1 HP, and Way wants to finish him off. Care's trying to block. There's a good taunt, but it's not good enough as Gala free firing on the top side of the play. The kindred ult will keep people safe. It's pure carnage, and Gala is the king of carnage.
FPX end up in the RNG meat grinder, and RNG will spit them out. Bloodied, battered, triple kill for Gala, and RNG now are looking at the base of FPX.
I cannot believe that this has been a roller coaster of emotions, Dagda. I couldn't believe FPX got the Drake in the fight. Then they go for the Baron, and Way finds the steal, and then RNG chase them across the map. What a turnaround from RNG.
Just that steal from Way, so clutch. But even there you can see, right, Way gets pinged by the CC off of the Senna, and that just sets up beautifully then to get on towards Gala. But here, I mean, a miracle play by Way, flashing in just on the edge of his smite range to steal that one away from Clid. And from that point forward, RNG, they know Gala's about to TP back in. They have the health bar advantage. They're off of the resets. And FPX are just destroyed by RNG.
And man, just watch Gala. Like, the True Shot Barrage does like half of Lwx's health anyway. And just watch Gala throughout this fight. He's untouched and just free firing the entire time. And Clid's ult turns this into an absolute fiesta, by the way. Everybody's so close to going down and kept alive.
Yeah, that was the thing, right? RNG thought they smelled blood in the water, so they commit everything to the Clid ult, only to be like, oh, well, I guess we're stuck in here now. But now, 2 minutes until the next Dragon. Baron, going to be faded in 50 seconds because of how long that replay was.
Yeah.
But maybe RNG now can actually start to get one tower on the outside here. I know Breathe is on the bot, might get the mid one as well.
Xiaohu, Master Chief in the mid lane with his 117 scoreline. And I will say, that fight was perfect for him as well. With everyone grouped up like that, the frozen thralls doing big damage across the entire team of FPX. But now, the siege is going to be unrelenting here from RNG as they brute force into this mid lane. FPX desperate to try and defend, want to clear these waves out. I think they will be able to survive one more wave. But now, with pressure in the bottom side from Breathe as well, it's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, that should be it. With 9 seconds left, the wave won't hit the tower. It's just going to be this cannon, which should die in just a matter of moments, so I think they're all good.
Right, Breeze's just going to push to the bottom side. Baron or not, they're going to be able to take a tower here. Breeze forcing everyone to go down bottom side. And Gala now getting some time onto the inhib, actually eating forward to get damage onto Clid here. Gala has no fear. He knows how strong he is. He knows that he has the protection of his team. He's got a QSS in pocket, and he ain't afraid to get the damage down.
Also, just the fact that, like, without Care there, who's really going to CC him up, right? He'll have a ton of time to react to Lwx, so he's willing to play forward for him. FPX now, trying to see if they can make stuff happen. Care in the flank.
Enemy lines. Way will just go for the 1v1, make sure that Care can't get onto the whole team. He will be knocked up. Clid has some big damage, but a stopwatch denies the play. Dawning Shadow doesn't do much as Clid has to flash over the wall. It's the first one for Breathe in this fight as he wants a bit of the glory. He wants a bit of the spotlight. Clid having to ult, but goes down to Gala anyway. And RNG showing us what a clean game looks like, aside from the one Dragon fight, right? Aside from that one little hiccup, the laning very clean from RNG, the mid game relatively clean, and now these fights have been beautiful.
RNG just showing that they do have a better understanding of how to play the map in the big game. Xiaohu pops forward, gets xiaolaohu. Now Lwx is left on his own as RNG will go for the win.
Lwx will survive, but his Nexus will not. We're going to 3 games, Dagda. RNG, don't slouch too hard from it.
And I think that was a great performance from RNG. As you say, in the mid-game, the fact that they were able to find those moments to actually get vision control down around the dragon, like play towards their win conditions, make picks off in side lanes. Like, it may have not looked like it was that it was as dominating as we're kind of hoping from the MSI champions, but definitely playing out towards their strengths and finding a win for themselves to push this series to game number 3.
Yeah, really nicely done here by RNG. And FPX, I'll be totally honest, I don't know why they locked in scaling across the board. I really don't feel... Like, after game number 1 went so well off of the early skirmishes, they're like, okay, Senna and Kayle on our side lanes and a Galio mid. It's like, that's not really... What happened to the early pressure? What happened to putting your foot forward, you know? But hey, look, RNG feels good for them. Feels good to get that win on the board. It feels good for them to have a bit of a slower game because that's the kind of game that they prefer.
Yeah, and I agree. I think it's a much better look for RNG being able to have some sort of plays that they can make off of, like Xiaohu, being able to work with, I think, nice counterpick for Breathe as well in the Fiora. I just think that, like, if you hadn't got the Kindred here for FPX, that probably would have been a much better look for you. As you said, like, even something like the Jarvan that may not necessarily be, like, quote-unquote, like, the meta pick, just providing that big engage tool, you can set up for care, you at least have some engage that you can then try and work around. I think the biggest problem just in this game was that they were so reliant on care trying to find fights and find picks that it was just too inconsistent for it to really work out.
Yeah. I'm a little worried now, Dagda, because we're going to go to game number 3, and we'll see who takes this series. I'm a little worried we were celebrating a bit too much for FPX a bit too early. And, you know, I've seen this before in the LPL, where there's a heavy favourite and an underdog, and the underdog takes game number 1 in an amazingly clean fashion. I'm mind blown, and then I watch for the next 2 games as the favourite just decimates them. It was what happened with LGD versus JDG the other day. It's what happens time and time again in the LPL. And I'm really worried for FPX that that's going to happen here because they looked so good in game 1. Please, please don't let that just be a flash in the pan.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think they just need to give themselves the tools to actually set up properly for it. I think the biggest problem, again, is that, like, we saw the Kindred, like, cool, let's have pushing lanes. No pushing lanes for the Kindred. It's like, okay, well, let's try and, like, set up so then we've got, like, good engage so Xiaohu can pop off later on. Not really any good engage. Like, they had some good healing and stuff with Lwx, but I just felt like if they could actually set up properly any sort of team fight, then you have the ability to carry. Like, I mean, look at the damage percent for Xiaohu, right? Like, he had 3 items, he was level 16, he had the ability to actually try and carry this game, but they just never really gave themselves the tools that they needed to try and make plays happen.
Yeah, felt like a tough one for FPX off the back of this draft. And, you know, again, RNG feeling very confident with just playing what worked for them previously, not really having to adapt to any kind of current meta, sticking to stuff that they've played at MSI and feeling good about it. Breathe feeling like he slots into this team well as well. This doesn't feel like, you know, top lane are on a totally different page. It doesn't feel like we're having any synergy issues so far at very least. We're only 2 games in. We'll have to wait and see how that develops. But we're going to jump into game number 3 right